Good standard professional practice, but the hut's kind of hidden away a little bit in the middle there, so maybe find some separation.
Excellent. Thank you, Tony. We'll have our next print, please. 134425. And Paul, can I ask you to step in for David Evans, please? Okay. And this print scores a 79. I'm going to ask for a comment from Melissa Newman.
Sure. The detail in the blacks is what was holding me back on this. The composition is quite nice, but the particularly in the penguins, they're like little black chalked up areas, and yeah, that would have made a big difference.
Perfect. Thank you, Melissa. We'll have our next print, please. 134614. Oh, sorry. I'm going to grab a comment from Tony, please. Sorry, I'll jump to Clayton. Thank you, Clayton.
Yeah, I scored a 78. Yeah, I guess just probably looking for a bit more depth to the image. It's all well handled. Yeah, I'm probably struggling a little bit to give direct advice that would really turn it into something. It's well seen, but yeah, for me it needs more composition to it or more structure that gives them more depth to it.
Thank you, Clayton. We'll have our next image, please. 863. Okay, so our print scores an 81, silver award. And I'm going to take a comment, Melissa. No? Okay. Clayton, would you like to? Tony.
Nice central balance. I don't mind the line running through the middle. The textures at first provide a very strong abstract. As you get closer, just that definition of the trees subtly gives you an anchor point, and the colour palette works beautifully.
Excellent. Thank you, Tony. We'll have our next print, please. 556. Print handlers, just try and keep that print still just for a moment. Thank you. Thank you. And this print scores an 84, solid silver award. David Evans, I'll ask you to comment.
The choice to position the little people in the centre is really bold, and I really like it. I love the bottom half of the image. I also love the top half, but I think I would have gone higher had there been a bit more density in the top half to match the bottom half.
Thank you. We'll have our next image, thanks. 531. Okay. Just verify scores, please, judges. Yep, perfect. Thank you. And this print scores a 79. And I'm going to ask for a comment from Tony.
Again, good solid professional practice. Perhaps the background is just a little bit too flat and heavy for the rest of the shot.
Thank you. We'll have our next image. 396. Okay, and this print scores a 77. David Evans, would you like to comment?
I enjoy this. This is one case where I think I perhaps find the colour a little distracting because I think if this were tried in black and white, perhaps it might bring out the balance a little bit more. I don't really have anything more to say, unfortunately, Mark.
Thank you. We'll have our next print, please. 924. Okay, and this print scores an 83. And I'm going to take a comment. Thank you, Hilary.
I thought this was a very nice print. I like the control on the highlights and the motion of it. I was probably looking for just a little bit more like a focus or a purpose to the flow where it was going. I don't have much more to add.
Thank you, Hilary. We have our next print, and print number 866. And this print scores an 84 silver award. Very solid effort from the entrant, and we'll have a comment from Hilary.
I just think it's a beautiful rendition of the scene. There was lots to look at. It's very nicely handled and processed. Yeah, well done.
Thank you. And we'll have our next print, please. 824. And this print scores a 77. David Evans, are you happy to comment here?
Yeah. Okay. I enjoy the way that this print reads, left to right, bottom left to top right, but the direct sun on the leaves is just too much of a distraction, pulling me back to the top. So, yeah, it's just a case of harsh light.
Thank you, David. We'll have our next print, 533. Okay. This print scores an 82. Are we silver? Oh, no, we're going to take a challenge. We haven't had one yet. So, Melissa, and for the benefit of those here, you scored an 87, and we had an 82, an 83, an 82, and a 77.
Okay, everybody sees different things in images. This is, for me, it's a very peaceful image. It's a very, the colour palette for me is fabulous. I love the harshness against the softness. And we've got this tiny little human element which draws the eye into that end. And that's why I just put it above that normal silver standard into that, just a bit better than that, into the silver distinction.
Okay, David Evans, I'll go to you.
I agree with all of those comments. I found a little bit of the print quality in the top sky to be a little bit too muddy, I think, compared to the main subject of the rocks. They're just a little bit out of balance, but, I think definitely worthy of a silver.
Okay, Tony, would you like to add to the discussion?
I found that mid-silver was good for me. I agree with what David said. I see why you like it, Mel. But at 83, I still like it, or 82, whatever I gave it. Sits in the middle there nicely for me.
Thank you. Melissa, your right of reply.
Oh, I think it's all been said. Yeah, I thought it was worth a bit more, and everybody will make up their own mind.
Thank you. We'll have a rescore of the rest of the judges. We're holding Melissa's score at 87. Okay, and all judges in the scoring range, and the print now scores an 84. Silver award. Excellent, and we'll have our next print, 422. Okay, and Sam Roberts, can I get you to step in for David Evans? And we'll actually take a judge change here. We've had 15 prints, so Dave, you can have a little rest and... And this print scores an 83, silver award. Hilary, would you like to comment?
Yes, it's a lovely scene. I thought it was well worth the silver. I don't know that there was much that I didn't like about it. I just didn't think it perhaps had enough to look at beyond that rather cute little house in a lovely scene to, sort of go any further.
Thank you. And we'll have our next print, 552. Okay, and this print scores an 83. Silver award. Are we happy to accept that score? Yep. Okay, so you were 5 points above the average, so on 88 and solid silver with distinction, and the rest of the panel in the silver range.
Yeah, look, I scored 88. I think it's a quite outstanding image. I think, I've just loved the really careful control of such subtle tones, and the two masses left and right. The two shapes are very strong. That a highlight and then the little swan or whatever it is. It's a beautifully handled image. The tones are just fantastic, and the masses of the weight, the composition, everything's just been handled so well on it. I'd sort of invite my fellow judges to have a fresh think about it and see whether we can just push that up a little bit higher.
Excellent. So I'll throw down to you, Sam Roberts.
I'd just like to thank Clay for bringing to my attention some of the things that I might have missed. I think the placement of that bird really tells a story, a delicate creature in such a strong environment.
Tony, I'll take a quick comment from you before going back to Clayton.
I think on tonal values, this was exceptional. Like, it really is well handled, from nice solid blacks through to nice, clean cream whites, and the range of tones in between. I'm not quite as strong on the composition as my fellow judges. I just feel like those two large masses, which do dominate left and right, are slightly causing the image to feel chopped at one end a little bit. They're not quite balanced, and the placement of the bird, while it's perfect for the light, it's not necessarily perfect in terms of the components within that frame. So another moment before or after, a slight movement to the left or right would have strengthened the composition, which is why I gave it a silver.
Okay, Clayton, we'll go back to you to have your right of reply.
Yeah, look, I'd still stand by. I think where the placement of the bird is actually quite significant because of the highlight above that sort of little that mountain bulge, and the bird, they work really well. And I like that the two symmetry of the two mountains are quite different, and they've been handled tonally different. And as you say, the use of the tones is outstanding. And I think I pick up on your point too, Sam, that sort of bird in that isolation really has quite an impact as well. I think that carries a strong message with it.
Excellent. Thank you, Clayton. We're going to hold you at 88, and we'll ask the rest of our judges to rescore. Okay, print has gone up to a silver with distinction with 86. I'm sure the entrant thanks you there, Clayton, and we'll have our next image, please. 395. Yes. Okay, and we have a 79 by majority, so just shy. And I'm going to take a comment, please, from Hillary.
I was just under a silver. It's a nice, competent, professional practice. I just found it dropped off. It got very dark on the right, and I was looking for something inside those buildings, perhaps a little more than just the obvious that they were buildings reflected nicely.
Thank you. We'll have our next print, 532. Okay, and this print scores a 77. And Mel, can I ask you to comment?
Yeah, sure. Really love the impact of the colour and the combination that's in here, and really wanted to get up there and see some detail. But when you go up there, there's nothing in any of those little doorways, windows, or anything that holds your attention.
Excellent, thank you. And we'll have our next image, please. Our next print, and 860. Okay, and this print scores a 78. And I'm going to ask Tony for a comment.
I think the colour's possibly a little bit too saturated in the background element, which is sort of dominating the car, and the perspective, the top right coming down, just sort of disturbs me a little bit. So,
Excellent, thank you. We'll have our next print, 864. Okay, and this print scores an 83. Solid silver award. Mel, oh, nope, okay. Hillary, can I ask you for a comment?
Yes, this is a beautiful print. It's very clean. I love the tones in it. Maybe I'm not sure that all that foreground was necessary for my view of the image, but beautiful.
Thank you. Next print, please. 765. Okay. So, we have a score of 78. Encouraging you, Clayton, on 84. Would you like to challenge the 78?
Is there anyone else on my wagon or not?
Look, you've got the rest of the people in solid professional practice. But if you believe it's a silver, then challenge away.
Yeah, I'll go. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, look, I scored it, I think, 84, I think.
Yeah.
And the more I look at it, I just think the detail in the greenery, as though it's moss or something, just looks, sensational. The colours, how can you not like the colours? The colours are fantastic. They're beautifully handled. They contrast so well with the sort of rock of green formation in the foreground. Again, the tones are really nice. There's even when you look into the background, there's still nice little bits of action, detail there. The sky's beautiful. The tones are just quite sensational. So again, look, I respect everyone else's opinion, but my view is that it was worthy into the silver range, and I guess it would invite everyone to have a fresh look at it, and I'll listen to their thoughts on it too.
Okay, Hilary, I'm going to throw across to you.
Thank you. It was the colours that disturbed me a bit about this. I found it a bit oversaturated, and in parts in the background it felt like there was definite colour cast. It may have been there, I don't know, but it just felt a bit over-processed, and that was probably my biggest negative.
Tony, you were pretty close to that print average. I'll ask you to...
Yeah, with respect, I tend to agree with Hilary. I do enjoy the greens leading us into the background, nice composition. I find the shadow areas have got quite a muddiness to them as well, so it's got impact, but it's just the print quality could have been a little bit better.
Excellent. So back to Clayton. You've got your right of reply.
Look, again, appreciate all of that. I guess I've not heard anything that we're talking relatively minor issues with it, and all I was looking for was a silver out of it. If it's slightly over processed, that's a view, but I didn't think it was enough to destroy the texture and the quality of what the core image is there.
Thank you. We're holding your 84, and we'll have our judges rescore, please. Okay, and the print's gone up 1 point to a 79. So high professional practice there, and we'll have our next print. Thank you. Congratulations, solid silver award at 83. Melissa?
Really love the technique and the colours and the symmetry. If I was going to be looking to improve this, I think that the shed is probably just a little bit too bright, and just it's kind of clashing between the technique and the shed, if that makes sense.
Excellent. We're just going to hold that print for a moment. Melissa, we'll get you to swap out, and we're going to invite Paul Holland onto the panel. Thank you. And we'll have our next print, 435. And this print scores a 77. And I'll ask Tony, please.
Good solid work, central composition. There's probably lacking any drama or dynamics, but it's just good execution.
Excellent. And we'll have our next print. 424. Okay, so the print scores it's a silver with distinction by majority. It actually scored an 84. We're happy to accept this. It scored an 84, but we had 3 judges give it a silver with distinction, so it's a silver with distinction by majority at 85. And we'll accept that score, please, and we'll have a comment Paul?
Exquisitely rendered print, beautiful subtle tonality and handling of the tones, the detail and the trees is beautiful, and there's an interesting kind of staccation of the man-made fence line just behind, sort of matching the vertical pillars, and an interesting separation of tonality between the sky and the snow that adds a bit of depth, and you can walk through the image to the back and be rewarded with a bit of detail. It's on solid silver distinction, beautiful print.
Excellent, thank you. And we'll have our next image, please. 85, so by majority. And this print is 886. Okay, so this print scored a 78, and are we going to accept that score? Challenge with Hillary on 83.
I thought this was a solid silver. I really liked that central line coming down. I just thought that was a little bit different, and there wasn't any sort of artifice in trying to create something around it. It was just almost like a cross, straight across the image with this beautiful soft lighting in the background. And that just, when it turned around, really attracted my eye straight away, that type of composition. And I thought that was well executed and worth the silver.
Okay, Clayton, I'll throw to you.
Look, I'm keen to be talked up if I can see the merits. I guess for me, the very things that perhaps you see, which are a very simple structure and layout and handling of it, is what why I haven't rewarded it higher. Look, if I can be talked into it, keen. But there's probably the simplicity of it that I'm sort of struggling with a little bit to reward higher.
Okay, Tony.
Yeah, I agree with everything Hillary said. However, I place that in good professional practice. I don't see it exceeding with high levels of anything like imagination or communication craft. It's a good, solid print, and it's well balanced, and it's what a professional should take. So that's why I was quite happy. I'm kind of with Clayton.
Okay, Sam, you also put it into the silver range. I'll ask you to comment quickly first before we throw back to Hillary.
Oh, it's just a clever composition. It's quite a simple scene. Yes, I think it was just a well-seen, well-composed image for the simplicity of what it is, and it creates a bit of a cross there, whether or not that element in the foreground and the horizon speak to each other to form an overall shape. I'm not sure, but I think it's quite pleasing. Nice time of the day that's shot, and the softness of the water with those soft ripples, I think, just to help to draw the viewer's eye in.
Hillary, you all right of reply?
I don't really have much to add on that. I think it's been said.
Thank you. We'll ask the rest of the panel to rescore, please. Okay, and the print scores gone up 1 point to a 79. And we'll just hold that print, please. Thank you, Clayton. I'll get you to jump off for a tick, and we'll get David Sievers to join the panel, please. Okay, and beautiful. And we'll have our next print, thank you. 612. Okay, and this print scores an 83. Silver award. Hilary, comment please.
Yes, it's another lovely, simple composition which I really liked. I just found it a little bit muddy. I would have liked a bit more contrast in it.
Thank you. We'll have our next print. 869. And this print scores an 83. Silver award. Sam, can I ask you for a comment?
I just really enjoy the composition, the fact that within a scene with so much repetition, the photographer's been fortunate enough to be able to be in a position and single out that that element in the foreground. And I think you've got the way that the reflection mimics those diagonal lines, gives a bit of, I hope she's not in the room, graphic sense in an otherwise organic scene.
Thank you, Sam. We'll have our next print. 423. Okay, this print scores an 84. Silver award. Tony, would you like to comment?
The beautiful composition. I love the tonal range of this image, and I love the sweeping lines. My only comment might be that it could be possibly too sharp. So just backing off the sharpness a little probably strengthen the motive connection to this picture. It's just a bit too harsh.
Excellent, thank you. And we'll have our next print. 511. And sorry, Dave. Okay, and this print scores a 78. Paul.
I was on 78. I felt like there was this beautiful potential colour separation within the print that could have been used to greater effect. There's blues in the sky behind. There's reds from the man-made features. There's greens on the foreground. And if you just pull those or tease those colours out, you get a more separation and depth and feeling to the image.
Thank you. We'll have our next print, 613. And this print scores an 86 silver with distinction. Tony, thank you.
Brief comment. There's a textural element to this that looks like the file being pushed just a fraction too hard, or it may be a texture. Either way, it's causing a distraction, and perhaps the composition's fraction tight, but a beautiful ethereal mood, well captured.
Thank you. We'll have our next print, 468. And this print scores a 74. And we'll ask David Sievers for a comment.
Yeah, I was just going to say the corners are a little bit soft. It's just, I'm not sure. Your eye doesn't necessarily go to one point. It's a bit two-dimensional for me. So, thanks.
And we'll have our next image, 664. Just while we're waiting for our judges to put in their scores, I just want to thank our category sponsor, Fuji, and the major sponsor for the award, Epson. No doubt many of these prints that you'll see today have been printed out on Epson printers. And this print scores a 72. Paul, comment, thank you.
I think there's a lot of potential in the image, but there's an over complexity to the elements that are included. There's some beautiful shapes and geometry you could simplify and bring on from a different angle or a different crop, but it's very distracting and busy around the corners that pull you around maybe a little bit unnecessarily and to confuse you about what the subject might actually be, and the tonality and the shadows is a little bit grey as well.
Okay, we'll just do a quick judge swap. So, Tony, I'll give you a little break for 10 minutes. And can I ask Matt Palmer to join the panel? Thank you, Matt. And thank you, print handlers. We'll have our next print, number 858. Okay, and this print scores a 79. High professional practice there. And Matt, would you like to make a comment?
Sure. The photographer's done really well to capture this beautiful light on the scene. For me to improve it, perhaps just look at the hills on the left-hand side there, and also the sky is quite dominant, but it's not contributing to the scene.
Perfect. Thank you, Matt. We'll have our next print. Number 394. And this print scores a 79. And who would like to comment on this one? Yeah, Matt.
I think the photographer's almost there with this photo. There's a really beautiful mood about it. But if there's any details in those shadows, it doesn't have to be bright or lightened up too much, but just some texture and detail in those shadows would lift it a lot.
Excellent. Thank you. We'll have our next print. Thank you, print handlers, which is number 926. And thank you to all of our volunteers out the back. You're doing a wonderful job under hard circumstances. We appreciate it. I love you. And this print scores a 79. Hilary, can I ask you to comment?
Yes, I must admit I was drawn to this. I love blurs and I love things that are a bit ephemeral. But the trees all bunched together on the right really let it down for me. If they could do something like this and choose a spot where the trunks were a little bit more separated so that you didn't have that one solid block, that would definitely lift it up for me.
Thank you, Hilary. Next print, please. 553. Yep, no problems. David Evans, can I get you to step on for Matt for a print? Thank you. Yep, and we'll ask Milton Wordley to join us just for this print. Thank you. We're judging the landscape single capture component of the landscape category is sponsored by Fuji. Okay, and this print scores a 79. I'll take a comment from David Evans, thanks.
Yeah, I think it's a solid professional practice. I would like to see the photographer bring a bit more of themselves to the image through technique or framing or selection, but I know what it is. It's very nicely done, and I'm after a little bit more for an award standard.
Excellent, thank you. And so we'll swap back. So thank you, Milton and David. We'll get Matt and Paul back on our panel, thanks. And we'll have our next print. 553. Oh, sorry. 923. And this is the first of our...
Can we stop?
Sorry?
Can we just have a minute break before you go into
Yeah, sorry, blank screen, please.
David, there's some gluten-free sandwiches.
If you want to hunt them down before they go, do it now. Yeah. Oh, okay. We should have enough. I catered for one extra just in case.
We're gluten-free too.
Then I'm screwed.
As if the day hadn't started bad.
Yeah. Then you're stuck with soup, unfortunately. So we've finished the single capture component of the landscape judging, so we're now moving on to our landscape open. So all elements of Photoshop technique can be used, including merging other landscapes in all that type of business. So we'll have our first print of the landscape open section, 923. Okay, and this print scores a 78, so high professional standard, and we'll take a comment. Yep, Matt.
All right, kudos to the photographer for presenting this subject in this way. It has a lot of impact in the way that they've presented it. But if you're looking to improve it, go back and shoot with a higher aperture so that all of those bubbles and interesting details are in focus. And I think that would help.
Excellent, thank you. And we'll have our next print, please. Number 579. Okay, and this print scores a silver award at 83. Excellent. Paul, comment.
Absolutely stunning aesthetic quality to this image and beautiful sense of balance. I wonder if you massaged on the tonality a little bit further and used some more of the whites and worked maybe on the sharpening on the lower parts of the structures, it would lift it up even again and give it more depth.
Fantastic. And we'll have our next image, next print, 510. Okay, and this print scores a 79. Sam Roberts, can I ask for a comment?
It represents good, strong professional practice without knowing what could have been possible with playing around with the time of the day for the light that was happening. I just feel as if there could be irked a little bit more drama out of it, but it is strong professional practice, nice composition.
Excellent, thank you. Hilary, I'm going to ask you for a little break. You can just go and grab a quick bite to eat, and Melissa Newman will invite back to the panel. Thank you. Thank you, print handlers. We'll have print 925.
So open, yeah.
Okay, and this print scores a 78. And can I ask Paul Holland for a comment? No. David Sievers.
Yeah, look, I thought that line on the left-hand side is just a little bit tight. It's sort of cramping the shot, and I actually wonder whether it even needs that bottom section. There's so much beauty in that detail in the sand or whatever it is in the top section, which I'm assuming is sand. But yeah, it's beautiful, and I don't think the bottom section adds anything.
Thank you. And we'll have our next print, number 581. Yes, and Milton, would I be able to ask you to step onto the panel, please? Good client. But they've called you enough. Okay, and we have a 79 by majority. It actually scored an 80, but it sat on that 79 by majority. Unfortunately, nobody can challenge, but we are going to take a comment. So, Milton, could I ask you to comment here, please?
When I got up and had a look at it, it seemed almost surreal. I wasn't, the vignetting I just kind of don't think works for some reason for me. It's professional practice, but there's something surreal about it that I couldn't put in America.
Excellent, thank you. And we'll swap back panel, so thank you, Melissa. And we'll have our next print, 617. Sorry guys, just hold those scores. Okay, well, yep, we'll enter these scores. Mel? Okay, so no challenges, and this print scores an 80 and is a silver award. And we'll just have a blank screen, please. Comment, yep.
Just to the author, just explore that dynamic range a little bit more working with the shadows, and also don't be afraid to let your whites just go to the tip of white, because there are a lot of kind of greys in there where, you want to feel like they're whites.
Thank you. We're good? Good to go? Okay. And we'll have our next print, please. Okay, and Tony, are you available to come back to the panel, please? After this print. Excellent. This print scores an 82, silver award. And Sam Roberts, I'll get a comment from you, please.
Photographer's taken a fair bit of time to make sure they're dead bang on square to that building, which I think's effort rewarded, and just the subtle glow that's coming out of that building onto the immediate grassy environment that it sits within just helps to plant it, and it evokes a story. To me, it looks like a desolated building, but there's some life coming within, and whether or not that's mimicking the life in the galaxy above. Nice story.
Excellent. We're going to hold that print just for a second. Sam, I'm going to give you a little lunch break, and I'm going to ask Melissa to step back in and Tony to stay put. And that concludes the landscape open section, and we're going to move into the landscape aerial. And we'll have our next print. Thank you. Okay, and David Evans, I'll get you to step in for Paul Holland. Okay, and this print scores an 82. David Severs, can I ask you for a comment? Oh, sorry. Yeah. Silver award.
No.
Mel.
The colours in this, I was going to say awesome, but they're fabulous. The thing that I suppose held it back a little bit for me was that the colour palette and the texture is competing with each other, and if it had been if it had been a little bit more balanced, I think I would have gone up even higher than that.
Excellent, thank you. And David Evans, stay put. We'll have our next image, thank you. Our next print, thank you, print handlers. 569. So just verify scores, please, judges. Yep. Beautiful. And our print scores an 84, very solid silver there. A comment from Tony, thank you.
Just a couple of little things would have given this a boost. Composition's a little tight, particularly around the bottom, and the halo or whitening around the edges of the trees is just a little bit too unnatural. It may be natural, but it looks unnatural. It's distracting to what was aesthetically an absolutely brilliant looking print.
Perfect, thank you. And we'll have our next print, 948. And this print scores a 83 silver award. And I'm going to take a comment from Melissa Newman. Yeah, from you. Yeah.
Okay, because I actually scored it up a bit higher than that, so I scored at that. Doesn't matter? Okay. All right. I'm just, because I scored it up higher, I'm just wondering if I'm the right person to give advice as to how to get it up higher, if that makes sense. I think the things that I liked about it the most was the detail. There's like a real little fine bit of crackling all down the side of it. So there's some really interesting textures and shapes, and you could just sit there for ages. The more that I sit here and look at it, the more I like it. So that's what was really drawing me into the image itself.
Excellent. And we'll have our next print, thank you. 571. Tony, just verify your score. Okay, so this print scores an 82 silver award. And we'll take a challenge from David Sievers on 88.
Yes, I gave it 88. This is just, I think the composition is beautifully seen. That triangle figure really sits within another triangle figure really nicely, and the colour palette's just exquisite. But I think it's been handled well. I think it's quite graphical. And so from that point of view, I just think that your eye goes on this journey in this image, and I think that it should be. I think it's a little bit more than just, a silver. I think it's just that little bit more.
Okay, we'll throw it down to Tony.
We're in interesting times where this genre particularly is on a bit of a, number one with a bullet. There's such a lot of good work coming through. I feel that this particular image is now falls into that high standard of professional practice, because shot from a plane or a helicopter, getting this viewpoint, this is the sort of image that a good professional should be getting nowadays, particularly with what's been before. When I look at this picture, I find that tonally, the bottom right is is flattish. It's not flat, but compared to the top left. So tonally, there's an imbalance in the image. It's held reasonably well together by that triangular shape, David, that you really like, that orange figure within the other triangle. I get that. But then there's a lot of distractions, and being cluttered is not the right word, and it's not clumsy, but there are little things on the edges at the top and on the left-hand side that, for me, they just keep dragging the attention, keep pulling me over to that sort of high contrast, darker area, and I'm not really enjoying the subtleties of the bottom right. So for those reasons, I see a lot of great elements. It's well printed, it's well seen, but I just don't know that it has the compositional finesse or the tonal finessing that would elevate it to an award level in this genre. It's a good standard professional practice work.
Thanks. We're going to go to Matt.
To be succinct, I gave it a silver for all the reasons David said, and I'm not going higher for all the reasons Tony said.
Okay, back to David Sievers. We'll go straight to you for your right of reply.
Interesting. Yes, take on board Tony's point of view, and obviously Tony's just recently shot a hell of a lot of this kind of stuff. But that aside, I just think it's really well seen. I actually am usually a technical judge. I don't get too caught away with the emotional side of it, but I just saw this, it's almost like a hand sticking a finger up at you. It's like the earth sticking a finger up at us for screwing with it so much. So I actually went a little bit higher because I think I was a little bit emotionally attached to this image. So that may have been what took me over the line. But I do like I think the subtleties in the bottom right hand side actually help support, helping your eye stay around that middle section and top left. So
thank you, David. We're going to hold you at 88, and we'll get a rescore from the rest of our panel, please. Okay, and this print goes up 2 points to 84. Very solid silver award. And we'll have our next print. Thank you. 952. And this print scores an 82, silver award. Comment, David Evans?
What I like about this is that it's all really flat, except for where that activity's been going on. It looks like digging, and that creates just little anchor points down the bottom and makes you wonder about what's going on and what they're doing in this environment. I think just maybe there's something about the printing which hasn't quite nailed it, particularly in the top part. Just maybe work on that a bit. Maybe it's paper choice. I'm not sure.
Thank you. And we'll have our next print, please. 572. And this print scores an 81, silver award. Yeah, sure. No challenge. So,
I'm just in the pursuit of colour impact. You've got to be a little careful. I gave this a silver, but it was just starting to push boundaries in terms of reality, and you'll be careful when you sort of step over that boundary as to whether that becomes distracting.
thank you, Tony. We'll have our next print, 949. And this print scores an 82. And we've got a challenge instantly. David Evans on 88. We have 3 other judges in that silver range.
I really love this for what else I see in the image. I see like an angry stick insect or something. The face, the pointed down mouth, and so instantly I'm taken to not just a landscape territory. I love the way the colours work together, and then I think that there's enough interest there for me to bounce around and not be drawn away to any of the corners unnecessarily. That it's intriguing. It's a really intriguing image that actually has a personality for an aerial.
David Sievers.
I see. Now this is the whole benefit of a challenge, because I'm now seeing something I didn't see before. So thank you, David. Look, it didn't have enough going on for me, but yeah, now I see almost a cat's face turned on an angle. So now I can't unsee that. So yeah, I'm not going to talk it down. I just let's all have a relook at it and
Tony, would you like to comment?
Yeah, I probably was a little chicken. Like I saw what you saw, and I wasn't sure it was enough to go into distinction. But the more I've looked at it, the more I think the symbolism and I like the personality that you've given it. So yeah, I'll probably bump up into silver distinction.
Excellent. So back to you, David Evans. You got your reply.
All been said.
Thank you. So we're holding your 88, and we'll have rescores. Thank you. And we have an 86 silver distinction. And we'll have our next print, number 570. And this print scores an 86 silver with distinction. And Matt, can I ask for a comment from you, please?
I wouldn't be able to give a comment on how to improve it where it currently is, so it depends if you just want a recap or an improvement.
Improvement. You got something to say, David?
All I was going to say is I'd be interested to see this image turned 90 degrees. Because it's almost, I think it's really quite nice, and it almost reminds me of a ship, you know, with the wake, you know, punching through the water type thing. But yeah, it's just to have that graphical sort of lead up.
Excellent. Thank you, judges.
I'm a rebel.
And silver distinction, what a lovely place to end our landscape category judging. So thank you, Fuji, for sponsoring the category. Thank you, Epson, for sponsoring the awards. And thank you for all of our judges. We'll take a 5-minute break. Don't go far because we're going to need most of you up next.
Commercials up next, Mark?
The funny thing is I don't think
Announcing your pick.
Okay, yep.
Which means I say graphic all the time. I say this is a big graphic.
So who would like to here? So that's so the beads need to go on to the next, but I'll make sure we need to. So anything else that we need to mention over the live stream dinner?